watch HEETwave before anyone else? Well, there's an easy way to do that. Just back us up on Patreon at patreon.com/halfemptyetank and be the first to watch the episodes.
Make sure everyone can see my bear.
There you go.
I'm very glad to be here.
Boo!
Hey, why are you booing me? I'm right.
Someone's got to do it.
Shut up, Hutch. You're not a cop.
All right, welcome to HEETwave. It's the video game podcast where we talk about video games sometimes.
It's the podcast where we talk about video games sometimes.
No, it's a video game podcast. See, it's an interactive podcast.
Okay.
You actually have to press buttons
If
to
you
decide
push
which
X,
segment you play.
we might jump right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
No. Anyways.
Well, the problem is they pressed X on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Not,
yeah.
on,
This is
not on the
And
controller.
that actually just closed the whole screen. They're not listening to us
Yeah,
anymore.
God. Get it together, noobs.
My name is Bryan Belcher. I'm joined by Chris, it's the Hutch Hutcherson,
Hi, it's me.
Jairus Mitchell,
Hi.
and Brittany Saturn.
Hey.
And we're going to talk to you about some video games and some other things we just feel like talking
But
about.
first, I want to do a segment that I'm calling Brittany Tries a Beer, Jairus brought beer for Brittany to try.
Here we go.
Thus forcing her to try beer.
Yeah, so I think traditionally this was my segment, but
I
Jairus has
stole it
hijacked
because
it this week.
I feel an obligation to find a beer that Brittany likes as the one beer liker in this group.
Yeah, me and Hutch are going to really suck
Yeah.
at that job. So it's you or
you
no
guys
one
are
else.
splitting one.
Yeah, that's probably for the
Splitting
best.
one, and I got him a shot
We're
glass.
splitting a well-balanced,
Shot glasses.
smooth, medium-bodied ale with fig and raisin aroma.
So I picked this one, Brittany, because historically we've tried, from what I've seen, you are okay with wheat beers and you like things with a little bit of a fruity element to it. So this is a little different. It's an amber from Fortnite Brewing, which did used to get calls when Fortnite was released.
Really?
Because they are located in Cary.
Perfect.
Cary, North Carolina, also home of Epic Games. But this is a extra special bitter or English style
hate
bitter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll like it.
I don't
just
either.
because it's a bitter.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning before this that you're just trying to find some points of information
Yes.
to
Yeah.
find out what Brittany does and doesn't like.
Yeah.
But to everybody, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers, Fortnite.
Cheers. Dabo. That's a no for me, dog. Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it's not bad. It is very bitter.
Yeah.
Oh.
I generally have a sweeter palate, but I'm trying to develop more of a bitter palate, and I feel like I've gotten better than I was in the past.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It just hit the back of my tongue and said, fuck you.
I'm not a bitter person. I will say this. I would like
Are you
it
telling
if it
us
was
that you're
bitter.
not a bitter bitch?
I'm definitely a bitter bitch, but I just don't like bitter stuff in my mouth.
I was looking for a fruity sour for you, but didn't see anything that I thought.
So I do like sours, but if I drink too many of them, I start to get acid reflux.
I thought you were going to say that kind of
Yeah, that too. But I feel like part of the quest for Brittany Tries a Beer is definitely A, to find something that I like, and B, to kind of develop my palate as well.
Yeah.
Because I did that with wine tasting. I used to hate wine, but we would go to wine tastings and you pay $7 or $8 and you get all these little
Tiny cups of wine.
cups of wine, and if you didn't like it, it was no big deal because it was literally just a sip. And that definitely got me used to certain wines and stuff.
It's also a real good cheap way to get drunk.
That is true. And most places let you keep the wine glass
Yes.
too, which is always a plus for me because
This reminds
I'm into
me-
souvenirs.
This reminds me of drinking a red rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of at first I get the subtle fruit flavors and whatnot, and I do like that. But for me, the front of the mouth is fine. The back of the mouth is where I can't handle
it's
it.
the back of the tongue.
It's the bitter part that I have trouble with.
Yeah.
I'll go in for one more to see if I can
So
get
it's
some of that.
it's probably one of those things too where
I'll
I could
finish a shot
probably
glass.
drink half of it, and then when I get to the bottom, I'm I don't really know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like I do that a lot with beer, where I can drink half of it and then be I don't really know if I want to finish it.
Yeah, I think this.
that's
to
weird.
me, this is like a slow drinking beer.
Yeah.
like there's some beers that you want to
Drink fast.
drink fast just to get weird. Like I wouldn't shotgun one of these.
Yeah.
but
No. I like the aftertaste.
I feel like
Yeah.
I can't shotgun beers anymore.
have
Anyway.
you ever shotgunned a beer?
I have. It was a Natty Bow.
That's a good shotgun.
And it was
beer.
outside. I was actually in Baltimore. It was
Yeah.
outside in the snow. And we shotgunned a beer.
then
And I
you
tried my best, but I was super weird on tequila already. And we had just gotten back from a monster truck show.
Oh yeah, and the fumes too.
And it was an indoor monster truck show. And we were sitting at the very top because that's where the cheap seats were. But there's a lot of fumes in there. I don't see how that's even allowed.
That's a good moment of just realizing that rednecks exist everywhere.
It's true.
And not just in the South.
It is true.
I think we should have a segment where we just go see a monster truck show. Have you ever been to one?
I don't think so. Like my cousin,
It's been a long time.
I grew up in quasi-rural North Carolina,
Okay, yeah.
not quite as rural as the three of you. My cousin was always into the monster trucks. Like he had one of those electric things that was Bigfoot, the monster
digger.
truck, Grave digger. So I was aware of that.
They're worth going to if you go to an outdoor one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You bring head ear
because they usually do like
Earplugs.
tractor pulls too, and those are
It's
fucking
just,
loud.
and they just
Oh,
do a
boy,
bunch
yeah.
of stupid shit. And I feel like it's just fun thing to go to with your friends and just get like drunk and
It
eat
is.
like nachos and watch some stupid trucks
It's like
do jumps and stuff.
so. My favorite thing is that there's a Donkey Kong monster truck now,
Oh wow!
and it wears a red tie
Yeah.
on its grill.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
and its eyes are DK's eyes and whatnot.
There was part of the realization that there are rednecks everywhere. A coworker of mine who was from Rhode Island mentioned that she used to work with like the monster truck group, like whatever big monster truck is.
Yeah.
And she was friends with one of the drivers who had a monster truck that was lobster shaped and called Crush Station.
Ooh.
I love it.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
And it was like based out of Massachusetts or like
yeah,
one
just
of
a
those
place you
north-
would not think like a monster truck. Yeah, that's great.
But apparently, like the monster truck circuit is a weird thing, much like professional wrestling.
So at Halloween, we got carried away watching we were trying to watch monster truck shows on YouTube. We found this weird fucking thing where all of these trucks, like pickup trucks, are pulling these really long trailers, and some of them had boats, some of them had RVs.
was
or
it like
just-
a race?
Well, it was a figure eight.
Okay.
And it was just a destruction thing where, like, they had these really fucking long trailers, and if they crossed the figure eight, they would just ram each other. And the last one standing, I guess it was like a demolition derby thing, the last
Yeah.
one standing was the winner. Like, they had to just keep going.
Have you ever heard of chain races?
No.
So one of my coworkers years ago used to do like amateur NASCAR shit at Bowman Gray Stadium.
That sounds amazing.
And
Amateur NASCAR.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So you'd go out on a Sunday night and drink a shit pile of light beer.
Okay.
And there were like different segments. So like they had like youngsters driving cars, and he was in like the higher
like 8-year-olds.
like 12-year-olds like driving go-karts or something like that.
Okay.
And he was in the one that was more like NASCAR, where people had relatively stock vehicles and they looked like shitty versions of NASCARs.
Yeah.
NASCARs. But they usually do like a wild thing at the end, which would be like a demolition derby or a chain race. And a chain race is where you have two cheap, shitty cars. The back one has an engine and a steering wheel, but no brakes. Or like the front one has an engine, a steering wheel, and no brakes. The back one has a steering wheel and brakes, but no engine.
I love it.
And they're chained together. So there are like 6 of these cars going around this track, but it's fucking wild because all aspects of this situation have differential control over the experience.
Oh my god.
Okay, I have to see
You're going to be
that.
looking that up later.
So the dumbest shit I ever saw in North Carolina that has any like relation to that is one time I went to a drag show.
Yeah.
And they did, regular drag racing, which was loud and awesome.
Right.
And I had a great time. Got to see people go like a mile in 6 seconds. It was crazy. But what really got me was when they pulled out this school bus.
Oh, yeah.
I know where this is going.
That had a jet engine.
Yeah.
Oh,
That goes to like air shows and stuff.
Yeah. So when they turned the jet engine on, the building behind it wasn't prepared. And it blew out all the glass.
Oh, yeah.
On the building behind it.
Right.
Jesus.
Like, they turned it on, glass shattered everywhere, and the entire crowd is cheering.
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I know that we are all big fans of the Fast and Furious franchise,
Uh-huh.
and the new trailer just dropped a little while ago. Do you think that the creators of the movie come to North Carolina and just like watch little shows like that and just take notes?
So
I did see an interview with the guy who makes all of the cars.
Yeah.
And he is just... You know how sometimes you watch a person talk and you're like, you realize that they are living the single best life. Like they are living a better life than they could have ever hoped for.
Yeah.
They're just 100% in their element, full of joy all the time. And he was just like, yeah. So I got this Mustang, put some ice tires on it, and then bumped it up to be like 800 horsepower. They just wanted like 3, but I was like, well, we could get 8 out of it. Might as well.
Might as well.
The Tim the Toolman Taylor of Hollywood.
Yeah. No, it was just... He was just so... I think it was like a Wired. I'll try and find it.
Oh,
and
I want to
put
see it.
here.
That is really funny.
Because he was just a wholesome man.
So there's a lot of people like that
Yeah.
at that event.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, was... And this scared me. This legitimately scared me. After the jet engine turning on and I can feel my chest vibrating on top of my ribs. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. Sexually arousing.
Yeah.
Vibratory.
They let it go down the strip. And as soon as it goes, it immediately goes on its back wheels.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
A fucking full-size school bus.
Can you imagine being the driver of that thing, just like
So
up in the sky, like whatever.
like just like the Fast and Furious movie, or just like the Dark Knight movie where they have that tractor trailer that's like vertical and flips over.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing that in real life.
Yeah.
So, when I was in high school...
But with a jet engine.
a really good friend of mine, like one of my best friends, was really into Volkswagen buses.
Okay.
So
I like those too.
the Volkswagen, like we did all the camping stuff, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun to maintain it because those cars fall apart all
Yeah,
the
they
time.
break constantly.
But so that the Volkswagen bus has the same engine block as a Porsche 911.
Oh, I did not know that.
So one of the people in the town that I grew up in, his mom was just this crazy person who found a Porsche engine in a junkyard and dropped it into this camper bus. So it would do that. It would go up on its back wheels.
On its hind legs.
Like on its hind legs if you took off too quick, because it has an absurd amount of torque
Yeah.
and an absurd amount of power. And it was always kind of magical to see.
Yeah.
I never was inside of it when that happened because same thing. Like, I cannot imagine.
That's terrifying sounding. I would love to
He
do
said
it.
you just
but-
let off the gas a little bit and it drops back down.
Wow.
So after having these conversations, I really feel like we need to get my dad, Billy Ray Belcher, on the show as a guest.
Yeah.
And just let him tell stories.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
he's got some like,
We could call him right now.
oh man, this
Phone a
segment
friend.
would
Just set up
not
a
last.
mic.
It would be like the rest of the show.
Yeah, it would be like another
Do
2 hours.
Patreon content that's
Yeah, just my dad talking.
It's your dad talking on the phone.
But I do have a dad story real quick.
Was it about the time we broke down in that truck that didn't have first or third gear?
No,
And he
but-
drove out to pick us up?
That was a very sweet story from him.
My
But
dad's a fucking hero.
but no, my dad. It's about when my dad witnessed someone die.
Okay.
Cool.
Well,
Cool. We're off to a very light
and
start.
need a good
So we were.
drink to that.
I'm gonna spoilers for the end of this story.
Content warning. Dads and death.
So my dad was a military police officer in Alaska.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on ski patrol up in Fairbanks. too. Yeah. My dad did some crazy shit up in Alaska.
Jeez.
Was he like an 80s
Yes, whatever you're about to say.
movie
Yes.
villain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he just like hung out?
My
and-
dad would like jump
Yeah.
over like canyons. And
Have you
shit.
ever gone skiing with your dad?
Yeah, my dad taught me how to ski. That's
Wow,
why
okay.
I'm professional level
So
skier.
Brian's dad is amazing at skiing and
Driving.
bike riding and also
Oh.
roller skating.
Oh yeah, my
apparently.
dad can do some
He
amazing.
did
roller
some
skating
amazing
tricks.
tricks back in the day.
I'm creating a Brian's dad fan fiction where he used to be a getaway driver.
So he's got some stories. But this story involves one of the other MPs that he worked with putting a jet engine in his car.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it was Florida. I mean, it was Alaska, but
which
it
is
just
basically North Florida.
North Florida. And these were all Floridians.
Yeah.
These are like all of his friends in Alaska.
Don't trust cold Floridians.
So they put a jet engine, and I forget what model car it was, but it was some like not it was
Something
a car
that
was not
didn't
built for
need-
this.
Yeah. Probably like an El Camino or some shit. It's got the cab space for one person. We can put a roll cage in there, and then it's got that big bed. Drop that jet engine right in there.
Long story short, they turned it on. He goes down the straightaway. Like, this is a 60-mile straightaway. They were like, got plenty of room.
And he couldn't stop.
He couldn't stop. He runs into a mountain
Oh.
That's
Jesus.
and explodes.
I
As
think
you
you're
do
just
in Alaska.
Oh,
I
the
think
car
you're
exploded.
just describing the opening scene in Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Really?
Yeah.
That is my dad's favorite film.
Is it really?
That is
No
my
wonder
dad.
I get along with your dad.
That is my dad's absolute favorite film.
That is one of the movies that made me the person that
You know
I am.
what? This story's probably not real.
It's probably not real. Yeah. I think your father was just describing the intro to Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension,
That
which
sounds
everyone
like
should watch.
that sounds like my
That
dad.
sounds like that's a good dad move. It's like your kid asks for a story and you just tell them a story of an old movie that they've never seen before. So we work with a guy and he has been telling his daughter Legend of Zelda bedtime stories, and she hasn't caught on that it's Legend of Zelda.
Oh, that's so
Because
wholesome.
she's 11, and he's like, I don't think she'll ever play the game because she has no interest in it. And he's like, I've just been telling her like Zelda bedtime stories, and she thinks that I made them all up.
That's
That's
really
Yeah.
wholesome. Oh, yeah. We should watch Buckaroo Banzai if you've never seen it.
I tried to watch it one time. It was really
really
recent.
bad.
It was like right when Brittany and I got
Yeah.
together. Steve had just moved in with me.
Yeah.
Netflix DVD.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
We
it's
watched
time to
it.
move out.
We actually turned it off and we had sex.
That's probably a better choice. So I love Buckaroo Banzai because it's insane. It's kind of like if someone only made Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but not any of the movies leading up to it.
Right.
So it has this like. It's entering into this movie with the expectation that you know who this guy is and that you know that he's the coolest in the world.
Yeah.
And then it's got Jeff Goldblum dressed like a 1920s version of what a cowboy looked like.
Wonderful.
It's so Buckaroo Banzai is the coolest guy in the world. He is a rocket scientist, a neurosurgeon, and a rock star.
Wow.
Even though the music isn't really rock.
No. It's more
And
synth.
it's kind of the
Of course
coolest.
it is.
It's such an insane
rock.
fever dream that I'm amazed that it exists.
Yeah.
And
And with that, I only have one thing to add. I watched that in high school for a class.
yeah.
My drama teacher was like, "You guys need to fucking watch this film."
Yes, good drama teacher.
Terry Collins.
Yeah.
It's
course.
Peter Wellers, and it's got Peter Weir and John Lithgow.
Yep. It's got a great cast.
and Jeff Goldblum, and it's insane. Go watch it right
So-
now. That's your homework.
So, Brittany, how'd you like this beer?
It was okay.
I think
Would you give it a dab or a floss?
I guess a dab.
I
I don't think it deserves a floss.
okay.
floss is more work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
work.
pretty sure me and Hutch are on the negative side
I gave
of
it
this.
2 shots. They were both failures for me.
I like the fruitiness of it, but I could do with a little less bitter.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, I got the sweetness, but I couldn't like decipher much of the fruit undertones to it. So, yeah,
You didn't taste those raisins?
I didn't taste the raisins.
Fig and raisins.
All I tasted was just wheat.
They weren't Californian, so I didn't much care for them.
We're done.
I'm gonna cut it right there. All right.
Congratulations.
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 Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to right
Smash
there.
like.
That right there is now our advertisement. I'm just cut out the
Great.
like, comment, subscribe. It's just gonna be that.
Dab on that bell.
Dab on that bell.
All right, guys. Well, I want to talk about cryptids.
What is a cryptid, Brittany?
A cryptid is a mythological monster thing. I don't know what the definition of a cryptid is. I'm just making stuff up. Ding, go to
Yeah.
Wikipedia. I don't know. It's like
It's like a monster.
it's
that
like
we
a
didn't
monster. It's like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster.
It's a conspiracy theory monster.
Yeah,
So
basically.
like folklore monster.
Yeah, folklore monsters. So I'm always super into cryptids. I love them so much. I don't know if I necessarily believe in them, but I like to listen to the stories. They look
Okay.
like a fun ghost story. I'm gonna try a new thing where I try to find cryptids in video games.
Okay.
And talk about
Like Slenderman from the game Slenderman.
maybe. I don't know. We'll see when we get to it. But the first one I wanted to talk about was is called the Flatwoods Monster. Have any of you guys ever heard of Flatwood
I
Monster
have not.
before? You haven't?
Oh, only because you've already told me about all this.
What about you, Hutch?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. So basically, to give you a little backstory about what the Flatwood Monster is, it happened in the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia. Of course, I feel like all of these things happen in West Virginia.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah.
Seems like they have a good rural folklore tradition.
Yeah, it seems like all these things happen in like really rural areas because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. Except invent monsters.
None of these are going to be in an alleyway in New York City.
No, probably not.
No, just Ninja
It's all
Turtles
just
there.
rat
Ninja
kids
Turtles,
and
yeah.
Ninja Turtles.
So, the first incident happened September 12th, 1952, and it was just like a bunch of kids playing out in their yard one evening, and they see this like bright light, much like a meteor, fly across the top of their heads and land in the woods. And they went and ran in and got one of their moms and was like, let's go check this thing out, which
Yeah.
I feel like is the smartest thing the kids ever did. So they basically walk through the woods for a little bit to see if they can find it, and they come to like a pulsing red light like at the top of the hill, and they shine their flashlight on it, and suddenly this like weird, it's like described as like kind of an alien, kind of like a robot type of thing, was coming at them. And they have said that it's like between 10 and 15 feet tall.
Okay.
And it's kind of gliding above the ground. And it has like flashlight eyes, basically.
10 to
like
15 foot tall alien robot gliding flashlight eyes.
Yes. And the mom described it as having like claws for hands, like the actual like claw machine like claws, and it had like this weird like pointed hood basically.
Okay.
The reason why this struck me is I was watching a documentary about the Mothman, and this popped up, and I saw a picture that was what the family drew right after they did
Is it like some 8-year-old shit?
So I'm going to just pass the phone around to
But we'll
everybody,
put it up
but
for
we're going to put
everybody.
it up on the thing. So this is a drawing that they did, and that's supposed to be the scale of it.
Oh. Huh.
And they also, when they saw it, it was gliding towards them. They like ran away, obviously, because it
Right.
scared the shit out of them. They also smelled like sulfur gas, and it made them super nauseous.
Okay.
And I think there was even one incident where someone reported that their dog had like died or whatever from the gas. I don't know if that's true or not. but-
Sorry, I love the businessmen trying to communicate with the
Yeah,
robot.
right. And then this was a picture of the people who saw it, and that was their drawing that they did.
It kind of looks like the woman on the right.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just the pent up fears of having to deal with their mother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what are
And then here's another little picture of it.
Okay.
So what struck me about this the first time I saw it,
That's
because
smaller than that appears to be smaller than
Queen of
The
Spades.
drawings.
It's
That's
true.
either a big ass tree.
It's true.
Yeah.
So what struck me about it is that in this documentary, they were mostly talking about the Mothman, but because that also happened in West Virginia, they kind of talked about this for just briefly, and they flashed up this photo in the documentary. And as soon as I saw it, I freaked out because that is the same aliens or ghosts that are in Majora's Mask.
Oh.
If you guys have ever played Majora's Mask, there's a weird little quest. It's the
Which are also ghost witch aliens?
Majora's Mask is already like a super creepy game.
Yeah.
But this was such a weird, like, when the quest happened, I played Majora's Mask a couple years ago. I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like, these are aliens? Like, I mean, they call them ghosts in the game, but they're aliens.
Yeah.
They're attacking a ranch, and you have to defend their cows, basically. And if you fail, the cows...
Of course, you're defending cows.
Yeah, the cows
from
will be
aliens.
abducted, and one of the little girls will be abducted, too. And then if you talk to her the next day, she's, like, kind of out of it. Like, she can't remember anything. It's, like, really weird for, I feel like, an N64 game.
Yeah. Well, Majora's Mask in general is fucking wild.
But
It's a bizarre
I just
game.
thought it was so wild that this ghost or monster or alien or whatever that was described in the 1950s as having like a spade type head. They got flashlight eyes, having claw hands, and it glides on the ground. I just thought that was so crazy that Nintendo lifted that folklore right out. And again, I found a lot of things where people have said that, yes, this is in Majora's Mask, but I haven't found any articles about how Nintendo has made a comment about, we basically lifted this from the Flatwood Monster folklore.
Do you think it's like a Jungian theory of collective unconscious where the same idea pops up in a different place? Or do you think
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like, though, there might be some cryptid person in Japan who's just like into cryptids or whatever and like heard the story and was like, I'm gonna put this in the Zelda game. Like, I just thought that was really interesting that just popped up.
I think that's a reasonable assumption because I think, Japan has a rich history of folklore and it seems like kind of cryptid mythos would have like heavy crossover there. That's fucking
But I thought that was
outstanding.
really bizarre because I was just watching that documentary and they just showed the picture and I was like, what? Wait, hold on.
I have fought that thing.
Yeah, I have seen that thing before in my dreams.
Well, what I always like, I agree
And they
with
even
you.
like levitate and glide in the game too. It's like
as soon as you showed me
it's
the
the
other
same fucking
pictures, I was
thing.
like, "Oh yeah, definitely." And the
know?
reason being was because, well, the Japanese like creators use outside culture all the time and then adapt it to their culture to make something new all the time, just all the time. I mean, look at Neon Genesis and Christianity.
Yeah.
That's definitely not a Christian anime, but it has a lot of Christianity in it. And I just see the same things. Like someone's like, I need a cool monster.
Yeah.
Monster. Yeah. American monster.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's imagine that we are all monster designers working for a video game company. Like, where do you look for that? You look for weird ass monsters either in local folk. Like, I think folklore is a rich vein for like monster creation or for like
and I think it's
conceptual enemies.
even more interesting that game was made back in like Majora's Mask was made in what 99 2000
2000.
so that's when like the web was still there but it's not as easily accessible as it is nowadays where you can easily just search for something but back then they actually had to like
You're
really
going to the
dig.
library
dogpile
and getting old newspapers.
yeah or something like that.
I mean, I don't know if you knew this. There are a thing like it was kind of like the internet before the internet. They're called books.
Encyclopedia Britannica. Hello.
And books have things in them. Sometimes information, sometimes stories, sometimes pictures.
God, I fucking hate you right now.
I deserve it in this moment. I'm mansplaining the concept of books to you. No, but also like there's a whole sub question of like how the fuck did a book about cryptids in America make its way to Japan?
Yeah.
Like,
so it's also worth mentioning too that while I was doing more research about the story of this, this cryptid also appears in the Fallout 76 game, which takes place in West Virginia, which we know like that game also has Mothman in it because Mothman and the Flatwood Monster are both like in West Virginia.
Are they bros or enemies?
I don't know. I haven't played that game yet, so I'm not sure. But their version of the monster in Fallout 76 looks a little different. I think it goes more on the like robot and gas type.
Well, that makes
thing.
sense with like the theming of Fallout as well. So.
Yeah.
That looks like a
And there's
floaty
another one on, like, if
Mars
you
Attacks
flip,
monster.
Yeah.
I see that.
So another interesting thing about this incident, though, is that they called the police, after they got back home.
That's badass looking.
And the tops of the trees were singed from like whatever
Brian's farting.
whatever the bright light
I
was
did fart.
that came across the sky. And back in the 50s, there was, I think it was called Project Blue Book. And it's basically where the United States government was like, let's put a lot of focus on these UFO sightings and see if there's a threat to national security, I guess.
Right.
And a lot of them were just misidentified meteors or whatever, you know, all kinds of stuff people see. But there were a few that they weren't sure, like, what it ever came from. And this particular one, they tried to say was they saw a meteor crash, and then when they got up there with the flashlight, the sulfur gases may have caused some sort of hallucination. And when they shined their flashlight, they saw an owl. And that the lights like illuminated back at them, I guess, and maybe the owl was up in the tree, so they thought it was a really tall creature.
I can kind of see that.
coming at them, because it kind of looks like an owl a little bit.
Yeah.
You should send an email to the lead singer of Blink-182, who now has like an alien investigation nonprofit.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Tom. He's actually been kicked out of Blink-182
Oh, okay.
because he's crazy.
Okay.
But no, you're right. That guy he keeps constantly bothering President Trump. Actually, he
About aliens.
If anyone's going to investigate
That
it,
is
it's going to
such-
be the founder of
that
the
is
Space Force, damn
Such
it.
a 2020 phrase.
Yeah.
The lead singer of Blink-182 keeps bothering our president, Donald Trump, about space aliens.
yeah. So
Has Trump ever made, like, I get that Trump wants to do the Space Force bullshit, but has Trump ever made, like, a definitive answer or outlook on aliens?
That's how I know that we haven't, like,
found
encountered
aliens?
Yeah.
Or at least they haven't told him, because he definitely would have told us.
Right.
Yeah, if anyone, this guy would have been the...
Yeah, he would have gotten on Twitter and told us.
Maybe there's somebody at Area 51 who's like, look, I know we're supposed to give every new president this briefing, but like...
But we can't. We just can't.
Ooh.
So...
Yeah, the Men in Black haven't reached out to him yet.
Give me a call, sad.
Deep state.
Fake news.
But I just thought this was really interesting, and I thought it was interesting that it was tied to like a little Nintendo game from, early 2000s, Zelda. Like, who would have thought a cryptid would have appeared in like a Zelda game?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, other cryptids have appeared in other Nintendo properties. We were talking about this, like Nessie's in Super Mario 64.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about those too at another.
yeah,
Don't
sorry.
ruin future episodes, Brian. Don't give away all the goodies just yet.
Sorry.
So
Spoiler alert.
you can actually go up. I think. So it said it was in the town of Flatwoods, but apparently the next town over has like a little Flatwoods monster museum. I think it was called Sutton, West Virginia, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
But you can actually go to a little museum there, and they'll take you to the place where the first sighting occurred.
Okay.
Like they'll walk you through the woods and see it or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think anybody's seen them since that initial sighting in the 1950s, but it's a fun little folklore thing and brings a little extra money to the town.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
West Virginia desperately needs
I
some
mean,
help
I
in that
would
regard.
stop by because I love little things like that. I love silly
that's right
things
up
like
your alley.
that. So I would definitely stop by and check it out if I'm ever in the area.
We've already vacationed in West Virginia once. We can do it again. Go
it's true.
check out some cryptids.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
there
in,
like a cryptid festival?
There is.
There's a Mothman
There's
festival.
a Mothman festival in West Virginia, but it also focuses on other cryptids too. They're like little sidelines.
Okay.
So, but it's in October.
Side panels on others.
Yeah, I really want to go to that too.
Well, it's on like that bridge where Mothman supposedly goes all the time. Not the one that me and you walked to under, but the there's some other like fancy bridge that Mothman's like a part of.
We'll talk about Mothman another time, too.
Yeah.
'Cause Mothman's another big one.
is a big one.
Mothman's one of my favorites.
So.
But I thought this one was
I
cool.
don't actually know anything about Mothman.
No,
John
next time.
Mothman.
John
I
Mothman.
don't either, yeah.
John Mothman Tyler.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you believe in the Flatwoods Monster?
I believe that Nintendo got inspired by the Flatwoods Monster.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't believe in any of I mean, I believe that it's probably some sort of like illusion or hallucination or something.
You
I don't
believe
know,
that
but
they saw something weird in the woods.
We're going to have to get our friend Nina to make that cryptid because she's like illustrating all of the cryptids right now, and we got her to do Mothman. We're going to have to get her to do the Flatwoods Monster now.
I want to believe in weird shit. I want to believe that the world is weirder and more complicated than we think it is, and I want to believe that there's crazy, odd shit that we can't explain.
Yeah, definitely. I want there to still be like magic and mystery in the world.
Yeah. My sister and I had kind of a diverting, like this is the thing that I always think about when conversations like this pop up. There was a period of time where my sister was like, I don't want to understand science because that takes magic out of the world. Whereas I think it adds to the magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't say that I believe that exists. I am open to the idea, and I would like to do more research on it.
Yeah.
I just like the concept of cryptids in general because like there's monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula.
Yeah.
You know those aren't real. The people who made them up said this isn't real.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole like okay, cool, got it. And those are fun. I like those. I love monsters.
I always wish whenever I hear stories like this and it's like a possibility that they saw something else, you know, it's not what they thought it was. I always wish I could be there to see what they saw.
Yeah.
And just be like,
Yeah.
what did you see? You know?
Well,
Because I've seen some weird stuff and then like when I've adjusted or looked harder, I saw it was something else. You know, just like a shadow or something where I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I'm like, oh, it's nothing.
Well, I think this has the same appeal as like the Blair Witch movie, the original Blair Witch movie had on everyone. Was that is this a documentary?
Right.
Like, is this real? Like, and then of course, like then that just plays on like the strings of like why people love the X-Files and love unsolved mysteries and whatnot.
And it's just the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And your brain maybe not recognizing something, and then you were like, oh god, it's, you know, this fucking thing. But I don't know. I thought it was a cool little thing, and I was just very surprised when I was watching that documentary, and it like popped up, and I was like, holy shit, that's in Majora's Mask.
Well,
that's crazy.
even if it isn't like real, even if there isn't a floaty, claw-armed, flashlight-eyed monster, it's still an interesting narrative. It's still interesting to the world that we live in.
Yeah.
It's an interesting design, like of all the fucking things
Yeah.
to put together.
Yeah.
To hobble together.
It was interesting too. They had the family, or like it was like 3 kids and like the mother, and they all drew little drawings separately, and they all were very similar. Like they were rudimentary. Some of them were rudimentary, but they all had the same like basic things.
So I wonder if it was an owl and 2 tree branches that looked kind of like claws and the top of a tree. I'm just,
and a bunch of sweet hallucination gas.
Yeah, bunch of mist, whatever. So,
well, meteorites have that effect. Like people who collect meteorites out in Africa.
Meteorites.
Well, there's people don't smoke meteorites. Got it. But one of the like main things, ways to make money in certain areas in the Sahara Desert is to collect meteorites because they're easier to find in the Sahara Desert.
Okay.
Because they just.
It's literally just a bunch of sand and
it's a bunch of sand
and
something that doesn't look like a bunch of sand. And when you see a meteorite, they're a little bit easier to find.
I'm waiting for like the hallucinogenic.
Well, when people go and find these, sometimes they're often coming back with like monster stories. So, and that might be something for you to look into because holy shit, you want to talk about new modern cryptids? There's like a bunch of stuff coming out of the Sahara Desert in that regard.
I'm down. I always love to hear about new cryptids.
I love the idea of how folklore spreads and perpetuates itself. So I'd be interested to see some more research on that stuff.
But the Flatwoods monsters sound like a good old-fashioned like mountain tail,
Mountain
you know?
monster.
Good old fashioned mountain tail.
Like, I grew up in the mountains, and we always had, like, one of my favorite things as a kid was sitting around a table listening to old people talk about, like, Bigfoot and stuff. And the sightings they saw as kids and just weird shit like that.
Fuck my dad.
And it was just like, in a rural area, like, a part of entertainment is telling stories.
Yeah.
And telling, like, a ghost story. So, you know, I feel like that's part of the Appalachian culture. So
I will, and legitimately, I'll take those ghost stories over, like, some of the weird things that go around now about, like, there's a child sex ring in the basement of this pizza restaurant.
for sure.
Or like the whole like there's a ghost in my phone and I can't, like, the people who are too scared to use technology because they think that there's supernatural effects of it. Like that one guy who's like, everyone thinks that
I haven't heard of this.
No,
So
I haven't heard of this either.
Well, there's like stupid movies like, oh, I'm going to take over your life by watching you over your phone. And
you're
just,
talking about like
bring-
those social media horror movies or whatever?
Oh,
It's like, you can't close the window or we're gonna kill you or whatever.
yeah.
And
See,
it's like, just shut the laptop.
You were making me
Social
think
media
of.
is its own horror story.
You're making me think of Better Call Saul, where the one character.
Oh yeah, he's scared of electronics.
Scared of like electronics and
Yeah.
electricity. So
That's right.
like
He
he.
thinks it gives
There's
them,
people
like,
out there like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
But yeah, that's my little segment on cryptids. Look, if you guys like this, I'll probably do more.
All right.
And we'll start a festival called Cryptoberfest.
Yeah.
Oktoberfest. I kind of like that.
And it'll be cryptids and video games.
Drink beer and tell stories.
Sports.
You got the social medias, we got the social medias. You got the Facebooks, we got the Facebooks. You got the Twitters, we got the Tweeters. We got the Instagrams, we don't really use that one too much, but you know, we're on there too. If there's something else, we probably got it. You can find them all in the description at the bottom.
There is a debate that some of us engage in between Wawa and Sheet's establishments. Everyone's got their favorites.
So,
What are your favorites, Brittany?
So, oh god, you're gonna start with
I'm
Brittany.
gonna start.
She's like the worst candidate to
Yeah,
ask
I'm like the
about
worst one
this.
to ask. I have eaten at a Wawa like one time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was after camping at Magstock, which generally after camping for 4 days, any food is good food. But I don't know if this particular Wawa wasn't good or what, but they had nothing that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm normally into rice bowls, but I don't know, nothing there looked good. So I have to go with Sheets because I've only ate at one Wawa and it wasn't very good. And I really don't get the hype about Wawa.
So I'm Team Sheets as well, but I've actually eaten at several Wawas. So at Too Many Games, there's a Wawa right next to us. So I went and ate there several times for lunch, and actually Brittany did too and didn't know it.
surprise.
Surprise! All those sub sandwiches we got were Wawa sandwiches.
Are you talking about the first time we went to Too Many Games?
Yeah.
I was drunk the entire time. I was drinking warm whiskey
Ooh, yeah.
in the parking lot. So,
Yeah, so
Never
Like
went
a
inside.
fucking rebellious teenager.
yeah.
but
Smoking cigarettes and punching cops.
Wawa has one thing over Sheets, and that is the gobbler. And that is their Thanksgiving sandwich that they serve nearly all year round. That is a turkey sub with mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and gravy.
Oh, God.
And that's my favorite thing that they
I
serve.
have never had that. I
sounds
don't
like a
know if I
nightmare.
can.
I
You just like
Love it.
squeeze the sub and mashed potatoes come out
Yes.
either side.
Yes.
It's
But
like
it's
a
slightly
Twinkie.
red mashed
it's
potatoes.
like a Twinkie, but it's for Thanksgiving dinner.
God.
yeah. It is. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's the best thing they have.
So I can appreciate both. Like, so we don't have any Wawas in North Carolina. I mean, once we go visit, you know, we pass the Virginia border. They're there. But the nice thing about the food is everything at Sheet's is deep fried.
That's true.
Almost everything. Wawa, everything's more like
It's,
It's-
definitely fresher.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
fresher, more home style sort of
Right.
like
Home
item.
style?
Yeah, well, like they've got like like
Gravy
baked
sandwiches.
chicken tenders and like macaroni. And
To be fair, the thing that I brought up is their most bullshit concoction. They have, if you want to go and get like a decent sub, they're really great about that. If you want to go get like a healthy meal at a gas station, it's probably your best choice.
I mean, Sheets has the Hollywood
Yeah, but-
snack, so.
But who the fuck wants to go to a gas station like, I understand Wawa's selling point is like, oh, we're fresh and healthy, but when I go to a gas station to get food, I don't think fresh and healthy.
I think with scotch and cheese bites. Thank you, Sheets.
I'm gonna get a nice salad with some vegetables on the side. Or
I'm
gonna
get a super trustworthy salad.
Yeah.
I will say they do have one healthy thing at Sheets, which is not healthy at all, but it's the healthiest thing they have. It's their nachos, and I get pulled pork on it, and
it's the healthiest thing they have. Is nachos with pulled pork on it.
Absolutely not.
They have salads and sandwiches and burritos.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I get salads from Sheets all the time.
Those salads aren't real. That's just like fake advertisement.
I get salads and like fruit cups and stuff from Sheets all the time.
The fruit cups are pretty good.
Yeah.
Their baked goods, their donuts are amazing at Sheets.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I went there last night and I got just like a 6th thing of them.
So that was
Did you know I just looked up the origins of the Wawa name?
Huh. Oh.
It is actually a portmanteau of like an abbreviation of the creators, or like the original owner of Wawa's. His name was Walter Wario, hence Wawa. And
that's amazing.
You yelled at a guy wearing a Wawa shirt one time.
I did.
On like our charity
marathon. You got into a fight with a guy wearing a Wawa shirt.
It wasn't a fight.
Physical altercation.
He was just berating him.
I berated him because I like fresh, locally sourced gas station food is such an insane thing. Like think about it. Like your father was a long haul trucker.
Oh yeah, he would say fuck that noise.
He does
say fuck that noise.
He would have stopped at like a Subway or something like that.
My dad stopped at fucking Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, we had.
No, I mean, like, I've never.
Hey Frank,
what do you think about this, Frank?
He's totally man. Frank joined the shop.
Part of the joy of a road trip is eating raccoon trash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
agreed.
Like, Wawa doesn't make me feel that. Like, if I'm riding in a car back from getting weird somewhere, I don't want to stop and get a fresh sandwich.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
Like, I want something that's going to, like...
hurt my body a little bit.
Always.
Oh, that sounds terrible for our drive, though. Like, I get it, but, like...
Oh, you need a nice driving salad?
But I feel like if I'm going to eat healthy, though, I'm going to go a step further and not go to a gas station. I'm just going to actually go to, like, a restaurant. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I even want to, like argue that it's healthier, because, I mean, a lot of the shit they have definitely isn't. One of my favorite things is, like, they give you, like, little, like, rolls, like, I forget,
the yeast
like,
rolls?
The yeast rolls.
Okay.
With, like, some melted
Golden
Corral, yeah. Yeah. It's that good, healthy Golden Corral energy.
Yeah.
You know, it's really... The thing about Golden Corral's fucking yeast rolls is that they're sponsored by Jeff Foxworthy still. Like, still.
I don't know what that means. He sponsors the rolls.
There are little...
They're Jeff Foxworthy branded.
This brand brought to you by...
All over, like, Golden Corral, there's pictures of Jeff Foxworthy talking about, did you know you can take a whole box of rolls home with you?
Oh my god.
Amazing.
I have to explain my disdain for Golden Corral and most buffet styles similar to that. Not only do I think the food is just terrible. When I was 9 years old, me and my mom and my dad, my real dad, we were homeless for like about 6 months. And we would go, like, I would wake up in the morning and I'd have no breakfast. I would go to school. I would eat school food, whatever it was. Hopefully it was good that day. Because I was a very picky eater as a kid. And then at night we'd always go out to eat somewhere because we didn't have a kitchen to cook in. And my dad always wanted to go to this fucking buffet called Western Steer.
Yep.
I remember Western Steer.
Almost like every fucking day he wanted to go to this place. And so I ate there. I ate there so many times in this period of my life that was terrible.
Yeah.
And also my dad was the type of person too that, like, we were at a buffet, but even though we all were still eating, when he was finished, everyone else in the family was finished too. Ooh. So if you still had food on your plate, you still were eating, but he was finished, oh well, you had to get up and go. And he just fucking loved this place, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And so going to those buffets remind me of that time of my life, and I just don't ever go to them anymore.
Which is why the one time I wanted to go to Golden Corral when we like first moved to Raleigh, it was just us three.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm good. You guys just go
And that was
on.
the last time I've been there. That was the last time I went to Golden Corral.
We should go to
By the
one
way-
of the fancy buffets in Vegas, like Bacchanal or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And just see if
I still get the
if you still get the jeebs,
the tingles.
the Hebert jeebers.
That was funny. When my parents went to Vegas, I just suggested them like all these really fancy buffets
Yeah.
and whatnot. They had a blast.
Yeah.
But my parents also go to Golden Corral. So
We when I was in Vegas not that long ago, we went to one of those and it was fucking good.
I mean,
it was absurdly delicious.
I went to just in Myrtle Beach. I went to an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet, and they had like fucking crab legs on it.
Yeah,
it was like
boy.
$25. I just like stayed there for like 3 days. It felt like
So the nicest like buffet type of food I've been to was actually we went to Too Many Games last summer, and we went to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah.
And obviously they come around with the meat to like
Try
cut
to
off for
hurt
you.
your body.
But you can go up to like the buffet style and get like a salad and like little crackers and cheese and,
Yeah.
and like soups and shit like
yeah,
that.
the
And
Ruby
that was really
Tuesdays classic salad bar.
yeah, and that was really nice.
Excuse me, at
So
the garden bar.
That
Oh, you're right.
That one didn't give me the like weird Western steer tingles, so that one was that one was fine.
Well, on top of that, though, we also had like some amazing food coming out to us.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, my favorite thing I ate there
Chicken liver?
was not meat at all. They came out with a grilled piece of cheese that they poured honey over,
Oh yeah, I'm on that. I'm about that life.
Yeah.
and I was like, "Can I have another one of these?"
Yeah.
Like as soon as I had a bite into it.
Dude, so Braza here, they have you been to Braza?
I haven't been to the Braza here. No.
So
should go.
they
There's a lot. Yeah.
they have pineapple on a skewer. I don't know if they give you that.
It's like
but
cinnamon and sugar,
Yeah.
and they just like slice off
All right.
a
Sounds
chunk
really
of
good.
It's
They didn't
so
have that
good.
at this place, but it was really good.
That the tiny little cheese breads.
Yeah.
I've removed myself from the Wawa v Sheets fight because, like, in going to Japan, a lot of the food options that most people like engage with on a day to day is like Family Mart, Lawson's, and 7-Eleven, which are all kind of like. It's kind of like a gas station, but it's in the middle of the city, so it's not actually a gas station, just like a little convenience store. And the quality of food that I got there was phenomenal. And now I'm just angry that American 7-Elevens are shit compared to that.
Every time I watch videos about Japanese 7-Elevens,
Yeah.
I get really fucking angry.
It's fucking good. Like you can, I got a barbecued pork rice ball. It was like $1.50.
That's insane.
And it was insanely good. And then I also got a tall boy of beer, and I ate and drank outside, and no one shot me.
Yeah, that's great.
wonderful.
So
there's-
Lawson, like Wawa or Sheets, fuck both of them.
Yeah, I mean, compared to that,
Whoa,
yeah.
Hutch.
Hey,
You just
you
brought
turned
this up
the
the
corner.
discussion, and he was like,
no.
fuck
Well,
both of
oh
them.
yeah, no. If we're going to talk about Japan, convenience stores, they've got that shit down on lock.
Yeah.
Like I watch Michael Chin's videos. Like that dude eats everything in a given store in one go, and yeah, like that shit looks so good.
Also, Sheets has another things that they actually are sponsors of one of our good friends, Zeldathon. And I don't see Wawa out there supporting fucking.
Sponsored by Sheets.
They are
They
sponsored
are
by
sponsored
Sheets.
by Sheets.
And
Hey nerds, we know it's 3:00 in the morning, and you've played that League of Legends for 35 hours.
yeah,
Come get some hot dogs.
They had some people. Oh, we're going to keep talking about this for a minute. We're going to talk about
I
this for
assumed
another
we
5
talked
minutes.
about it for like 5 minutes when we decided to go with the timer.
So I was really, really excited about the fact that Sheets was sponsoring them because it also happened to be the year we were there.
Yeah,
And they just showed up with like all these fucking snacks.
nice.
And
Nice.
it was a good time. But
There was also Sheets within kind
walking
of
distance.
precarious walking.
It was
there
had
was
to jump walk across
well,
a railroad
there
track.
was
one
like
highway.
there was like no sidewalks, and it was essentially like a very busy highway type of thing that had like a crosswalk, but it didn't change very often. So we kind of just said fuck it and ran across.
You had to the sidewalks. You had to cross a store selling crystals, and then cross over to a cemetery, and then cross over to the sheets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's a good setup. You can stop and get your crystals to ward off the evil spirits, and then go to Sheets.
Yeah.
And then you can buy a second crystal on the way back to purge your bowels.
Oh yeah, and then there was the the other souvenir shop. It had a frog on.
It had like a grasshopper on the outside, and it was
I hope
really creepy.
We walked in. And
I have a picture, Dean. We'll put it in the video.
We won't, because I hope MC never watches this, because we have triangulated the fuck out of where they.
Oh yeah, we have, haven't we?
Yeah.
Whoops.
So no picture. Sorry, just imagine it.
Just blur out everything we said.
Yeah.
Just one long beep.
But the rice places in Japan are what I'm really excited about. I want to go because they have a lot of fast food rice bowl places that I like under $5, and you get a whole complete fucking meal.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
And when we went recently, lady friend wanted to not just eat at 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
Because it is tempting. Well, because like they have
No, I'm kidding. Like
they have this like fried chicken, like it's a chicken nugget, but it's 3 times the size of a normal chicken nugget.
So
And it's
like
just
a chicken
like
ball.
It's like one chicken patty.
Okay.
And they don't trim all of the fat off.
Oh.
So it's like super juicy and
I'm not
delicious.
sure I probably like that.
You would.
Would
It's
I?
fucking
Okay.
dank.
Yeah.
It's real good.
I'm already excited.
Yeah. So like
We had
step
a
up
friend
your
who-
shit. Get rice balls that I can get for $1, and it's still like a filling, satisfying
I will
meal.
say,
Sheets or Wawa.
Sheets could fucking like ruin America by upgrading their food.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like they are like, honestly, I thought Sheets was like already kind of like, hey, you know what? Every gas station, fuck you.
Yeah.
Already in America. But what if they just went to like Japanese level?
Yeah, that would be dank.
Like,
I would fully endorse that and support that.
because when Sheets first opened, the reason I went there is because they had 1 million drinks.
Yeah.
Like so many drink options.
Yeah.
And now they've kind of backed off on
Is
that.
Wawa open 24 hours?
Yeah.
Like Sheets is?
Yeah, same sort of deal.
Okay.
I will say that Sheets does have an amazing egg salad sandwich.
Yeah, you eat the shit out of this.
Yeah, I do.
Egg salad sandwich.
So when we lived with Hutch, I
I would
gained.
not trust an egg salad sandwich from Sheets.
So I've seen sushi at Sheets before. I haven't seen it in a while.
I have
but
not seen that. Ooh.
back when
They
we
stopped doing it.
lived like a few years ago, we lived in Greensboro, and we were trying to tell some friends like, hey, we know this really good sushi place, and this one guy was like really gung-ho about it, but we also were like, but that guy also eats Sheets sushi, so whatever.
Yeah, we were kind of like,
He's
don't
like,
listen
it's
to him.
good. He's like, it's really good. Like, just try some. We're like, no, I'm not eating
Look,
gas
I
station
get it. There's
sushi.
no sushi places in Mount Airy, but
Oof.
now there is one. And now he doesn't eat Sheets sushi anymore.
They don't have it there. That one.
He eats Sheets sushi by the seashore.
Oh, man. I will say, what I really, really want is not just for them to get up in quality as far as like Japanese food. Like, yeah, you could make American quality food, whether Wawa or Sheets, whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it's fresh or whatnot. I don't care. No, I don't want them to do that. No, I want them to make Japanese food at Sheets. I want rice balls. I want the food that I can get in Japan here.
That's just a good business opportunity for a side venture to start doing that sort of stuff.
I thought about writing a letter to
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven and being like, hey, I've been overseas. Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Even in Australia, Sheets or like 7-Eleven is better than it is here.
Yeah.
7-Eleven is like not existent in North Carolina
Yeah.
anyways until like a couple years ago.
Right.
And man, when I lived in Florida, I lived at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
I had banana Slurpees and Dairy Queen, and I went to the beach every day.
So Is your love for 7-Eleven the Slurpees mainly? Because every time I've been in there, I've wanted to just get right the fuck
That's
out.
because everyone I've taken you to has been a trash pile.
Everyone that we hit on the way up to DC is really bad.
Yeah.
Like, they're the worst 7-Elevens I've ever been in.
It's like I feel like if I never need to use the restroom or one of those things, I have to like go over there like their cleaning closet and then down a dark tunnel and then eventually there's a dark room.
And there's a room without a doorknob.
Yeah.
And some guy's like, "Hey, you like your kidneys?"
So the 7-Elevens that I grew up with in Tampa are like the sheets that we're
Cadillac
dealing
of
with now.
7-Eleven.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the exception of the one time hurricane hit and I like canoed into a 7-Eleven to get some snacks.
He like took some taquitos off the grill and like threw some dollar bills like on
No,
the
I
counter.
just straight up stole snacks off there because there was
Brian,
we were
tell us
out of
more
food.
looting stories. Florida looting stories.
I was 9 years old. I had a canoe.
He was a 9-year-old Florida man.
and there was 3 feet of water, and I was out of food.
Okay.
So I went and stole like
You
5
gotta
packs of
eat.
Cheetos.
Cheetos, huh? That'll keep you
It sounds like
going through the night.
Well, at the worst, you can just spread them out on the floor and they'll suck up all the water.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
I mean, to be fair, this is a 9-year-old decision we're talking about right now.
Where were your parents that you were just canoeing around and during a
He didn't have
hurricane?
parents when he lived in Florida.
Brittany, I used to jump on trains
No one
to
in
get
Florida
to North
has
Tampa.
parents. They just crawl out of the swamp and then find each other and are like, we're a family now.
Look, my parents were just glad I came home sometimes.
Okay, whatever.
No, they weren't.
Like, there's
just
a reason
saying.
why we moved to North Carolina.
We
Okay.
need to just have like a Bryan
You need to
story
get
time.
Bryan away from trees. trains, not trees.
I was about to say, there's more trees up here.
Yeah.
I had palm trees down there. And swamps.
Fucking swamp Bryan.
I was a swamp kid.
So have we settled on both are terrible?
I mean, I think
Or did I lead the witness too much?
I
think you did.
I'm team sheets, but
Caveat.
I would love to have some Japanese food. Sheets, come on,
Yeah.
do it. 7 I don't give a
They're
fuck.
probably listening or watching or whatever.
I do know the Sheets representative that works with Zelda's on. So I could send them a video.
If I had like both in front of me, like I would probably go Wawa if I had to eat somewhere. Like I'm not even like eating.
Are you trying to pretend like you're healthy?
No, I'm really not. I just really like the fact that not everything that they do is deep fried over at Wawa. I don't think anything they do is deep fried over there. Actually,
They
Do
don't
they
have a
have-
single deep fried
Do they
egg.
have egg salad sandwiches at Wawa?
I don't think they do.
What you gonna do about that then?
I get the chicken bacon ranch flatbread,
Chicken bacon ranch
and I feel a
flatbread.
lot better about
Way
it.
healthier.
It's really good.
All right, but for real.
Sheets has non-deep fried things.
They do. Yeah.
They do.
Like pizza and hot dogs.
No, the
Their hot
are deep
dogs
fried.
are. Wait, no, I'm thinking of the
The
chili.
hot dogs are definitely deep fried. That's
No,
how
they're
what,
microwaved.
Yeah,
No,
they're microwaved.
the
That's
ones,
why they don't have texture.
Yeah,
the ones I have been eating have texture.
I don't think so.
The one next to us, like next to Hutch does, because
Sheets fine.
Guess
That's
we're gonna
okay.
have to go get some hot dogs to find out.
right,
Don't do it.
they are like
really
a
don't
euro
work.
That's really
for
bad.
$1.
I feel like you'll get worms from those hot dogs.
They're just worms.
Yeah,
Legally.
They're just the hot dog itself is the worm.
she's a big fat worm.
Oh,
All
All right, but for real though, Royal Farms and their fried chicken.
I haven't had it.
Farms.
Royal Farms is another like Sheets and Wawa like
It's like
store that's only in
It's
like
like
Maryland.
Baltimore,
No,
Maryland.
I'm not.
And they
I don't
serve
want to
fried
spend
chicken.
time in Maryland.
No, right?
I'm pretty sure
That's
last time I ate at Royal Farms, I got diarrhea. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was on our way up to Too Many Games.
yeah.
When we were scared to like spend a lot of money.
So the company sent us on this trip with their company card, and they're like, get food and whatever on the company card. But Brian and I had never done this before, and we were by ourselves, and we were like, I don't know how much money we can spend on ourselves. So we ate at like really shitty places. And then one night we went to the Brazilian steakhouse and spent like $110, and we were like really nervous about it. And we got back, and the like guy in charge of finances was like, "You guys didn't spend any money at all." Like he was disgusted with us. He was like, and Brian was like, "We did. We went out to like TGI Fridays or whatever." And he was like, "That is not going out to eat." Like he was super mad at us.
Sorry,
not-
we didn't abuse our relationship
Yeah.
with this company more.
yeah, especially like we made so much money on that trip that they were like, "Did you sell your bodies?" So
yes.
And we were super nervous at the Brazilian steakhouse because we were like, "Here we go." But
well, and with that, I think we're overall, except Hutch, Team Sheets or Team Fuck It.
Team Fuck It.
There we
Team
go.
make some Japanese food.
Yeah.
Chicken bacon ranch. You can get that at Subway.
But then I'd have to eat Subway.
That's fair. That's fair.
Their chicken is not real.
I'm a fancy boy. I only eat at Wawa.
I just want to eat real food. That's all.
That's, I mean,
Wah. We start calling it wah.
Want to see us perform live? Use that big brand of yours and follow us on Twitch. We do things live there sometimes.
all right. Well, with this week's episode coming out on Valentine's Day, I thought it'd be the best time to talk about what our favorite love stories in video games are. Has anyone got a first?
Love's dead.
Love is dead.
There is no
All right.
love in video games.
It's been a great episode. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Should we set those?
Oh, yeah. You know, we
always
fucking
forget
forgetting
that.
to do that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's
And
actually do
I
it.
think it's like actually fun to
Well,
mess
this
with.
is your topic, Brian. I assume that you
Okay,
actually
so
have.
I have a silly one, and I have one I think is actually serious.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with the silly one first. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I'm wearing the shirt. It's probably the worst love story video game ever, but it does go around this love story of Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers. But spoilers, in the video game version, he actually gets every girl.
Gross.
Yep.
It's the comic that he doesn't get anybody, right?
He gets knives in the comic. And in
I
the
thought
movie,
there
he
was
gets
one where
Ramona.
he gets nobody, and it's like really awesome.
It's close to that. The
It's
comic
like,
book.
fuck you.
The comic book, like, technically...
Fucking nerd. Oh, your life sucks. Oh.
Well, no, technically he does get nobody for a while, and
Yeah.
then he cleans up his acts, and then he gets back together with knives.
I will say, I super enjoyed the movie Scott Pilgrim, but Scott is the worst
He's-
character
yeah,
in the whole
yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody else is great.
It's
but
exactly the same in the comics as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, it's honestly even worse in the video game.
in the video game.
Yeah.
I imagine so, since he gets like all 3 girls, right?
He gets 4 girls.
4 girls.
Eve, Knives, Ramona, and
Kim.
And Kim.
Yeah.
They're-
That's Kim.
The drummer.
The drummer.
Oh, okay. Gross. Double gross.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
yeah. So there.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's pretty gross. But up until that point, it's pretty great.
And then you hit that point and you're like, this is fan
Not the
service.
payoff.
But
I was
it
looking
is,
for.
but the
What is
game
this, a dating simulator? Ugh.
yes. And then yeah, I guess we could just every dating simulator. I would say Dream Daddy's my favorite when it comes to that regard. As far as
I
love
haven't
games,
played that one yet.
you'd
No.
like
I
it a
don't play a
lot.
lot of dating simulators, if
Yeah.
any at all.
You're a bad 12-year-old girl. Or streamer.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, you probably like that one or
Sorry for being bad.
Hatofu girlfriend, boyfriend.
The
Pigeon
pigeon dating
Yeah,
sim?
the pigeon dating
Pigeon,
one.
yeah.
That would probably both be up your alleys because
Okay.
it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
But my favorite love story in a video game of all time is also my favorite RPG of all time, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, where Alex and Luna develop a blossoming love as the game goes on until she gets kidnapped, becomes the main villain, and then you have to kill her. But then your love saves the day, and she actually doesn't, kill the entire planet.
Okay.
So it's
Lovely.
long story short.
So my issue with a lot of video games is it's basically like, it's like this person is getting kidnapped and this other person's going to save them, and so they're going to be in love at the end. And I feel like with that, it's a lot of just like sure, maybe there's a relationship there, but as for like
That's just Stockholm Syndrome.
just as like me as like playing the game, for me to say, hey, this is a good love story, I have to be invested in it. Like I have to actually care about the characters and like feel something for them.
So
So
I
that's
get
kind
that.
of like what I was basing my choices on.
And the Lunar does have a few of those tropes, but they happen about 3/4 of the way in the game. So you're building this relationship with these characters along the way.
Yeah.
So I think it goes around that problem that a lot of love story kidnapping games go. But you know what? I'm just going to quit and let Jairus do whatever Jairus is about to do.
I am going to, I bet you're expecting me to come out with some like Mass Effect bullshit.
You know, Mass Effect 2 was on a list I was reading about.
I'm not surprised by that. But the real answer is Saints Row 4.
Okay, I can get behind this.
Which is a parody of the Mass Effect relationship mechanic, but you just have one button and it's proposition. And you just can go to the bone zone with whoever you want.
Lovely.
And it's not treated as some grand emotional thing. It's very sex positive in that way.
Yeah. And I think that's also fine too. Like you can have sex without a relationship, but don't try to like dress it up as a relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just fucking.
Yep. Hot coffee for everyone.
Just get some fucking.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's like, I think what you touched on is kind of the weirdness of video game romances, because usually it's like either scripted or it's an open world thing.
It's really hard to tell a good love story when it's not a story based game.
Yeah.
And even,
also, I realized too with this prompt that you gave us, I haven't really played any video games that center around love in that way. Like that's not something that I've actually picked out.
I can
except
really
like
think,
Dear Esther.
Yeah.
Or
Gone
not
Home.
Gone Home. That's
Gone
the one.
Home.
I feel like Dear Esther too, there's a bit of love in that too. Yeah, and it's like most of my answers were like walking simulator type things, like Dear Esther and Gone Home. So I have a silly one and a serious one. So my silly one is Portal.
Okay.
Between Shell and the Cube, because the reason
a
why
cube.
it's silly, but also like you're stuck, you're isolated in this facility, and you have this like cube that's it's your companion, like it's literally in the name, and then it helps you get through all of these puzzles, and then GLaDOS makes you destroy it, and it was so sad. Like I was really like upset when I had to destroy the cube to progress.
Actually,
in that game.
I remember watching you play this, and you took like a solid 15 minutes to try and figure out how
yeah, because I was like, no, there's got to be a way for me to do this without killing the cube, because I don't want to kill it, and it's an inanimate object, but it was like, that was my buddy,
It's love as an emerging pattern rather than love as like a scripted narrative event.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an invalid response. I think it is a funny one though.
And then my more serious one is a game I recently played. I'm gonna try not to spoil it because Hutch actually wants to borrow it. It's called The First Tree, and it is not a romantic like boyfriend girlfriend or girlfriend girlfriend boyfriend boyfriend type of love. It's more about family love and dealing with family loss, which hit really close to home to me because I lost my sister in June of 2019. And this game kind of threw me for a loop because I just saw the trailer on the Nintendo store like a couple years ago. And we ended up doing the game at work, so I got a free copy of it. And I ended up playing it. And it is also, in a sense, a walking simulator where you are playing as a fox. And there is a man and a woman narrating. He's having a dream. And it's essentially he's talking about the relationship between him and his father and all the things that were left unsaid. And then at the end of the game, there's some really cool like interaction stuff where you actually get to interact with people who have played the game before you. So that was really interesting. And I just bawled the entire time. But I thought that was a really good love story too.
It was really interesting watching you play that because you took a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
I remember you getting like an hour at a time.
It's a short game. Like I beat it maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was about 3 hours, but you took a break after like every hour.
Yeah, so there's like 4 or 5 stages that you're in, and after each one I took kind of a break because I was like, "Ooh, this is heavy." You know,
I'm feeling emotions that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people can play the game and be like, "I don't understand. There's no emotional context here for me," but it just hit me differently. You know. Yeah.
Well, you sat down to have like a fun night of playing games and trying stuff.
Yeah, so
and you were not ready
one of my
for
resolutions for 2020 was to play more video games. So this was like a video game that had been on my list, and I was like, I'm going to play a video game. And I beat the game, and I was just so like dumbfounded. I kept thinking about it. I wasn't even in the mood to play any more video games, and I just couldn't play anything else that night. I had to do something else.
I had to console you because you were like, I wanted to play more games. I'm like, you beat a game. It's okay.
Yeah. So that was the one on my mind for a really good love story. But it's more of a family
I think
love.
that's valid.
Yeah.
Like, I think friendship is... I mean, I love everyone in this room. That doesn't mean that, like... that's invalid love. Like,
Yeah.
just Valentine's Day is bullshit anyways. We're just doing stuff because this whole episode comes out on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But I do think that those stories are remarkably valid, and even more so sometimes. You need to have that platonic love to be able to love yourself, to be able to love someone romantically.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's just like they build up on each other.
Mm-hmm.
How about you two?
So I'm going to choose from Life is Strange.
Okay.
I was thinking Chloe and Max, but once I started thinking about it a little more, it's really more of a love story with Chloe and Rachel Amber. And I don't think you played Before the Storm, have you? Yeah,
not yet.
So I won't go into too many specifics with that, but you've got these two girls from these two different backgrounds that they have all these adventures together, and then they go through some hardships together, it feels much more impactful. Like you could see them growing closer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's much more of a better story than I felt like. So in Life is Strange proper, Rachel Amber has disappeared. Or run away, but no one knows what's happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like looking back on that, most of that is, rather than being a love story between Max and Chloe, they're old friends that drifted apart due to various reasons. They're coming back together, and they're being brought on this, path. Now, love, kind of does bloom eventually, but
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, that story doesn't really have a happy ending, no matter what happens, so I'll just leave it that. But I just really enjoyed the journey with that series.
Well, I think also love stories too don't have to necessarily have a happy ending as well too.
Honestly, most video game based ones don't.
Yeah,
I think Lunar is one of the few examples of a happy ending, but like, I don't know, Gone Home is kind of happy, kind of. It's not not in a sisterly love.
It's
that they
bittersweet, sad, but it's not unhappy.
Yeah. But even then, it's just kind of like you said, bittersweet, sad. But it's one of the happier endings as far as like actual like romantic love goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't really think of a game that I'm like, oh, that's a really good love story.
Like I think love stories in video games are rare, anyways.
Yeah.
Like proper love stories, not Mario wants to fuck Peach love stories.
No, I like the original Mario is a love story because she sets boundaries and he sticks with them.
I mean, yeah, hey, you got that going. I think the only Nintendo title that has any remotely closest thing to like any kind of like sexual activity is probably like Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Like Link gets a kiss from Zelda at the end of Zelda 2. And the curtain goes down and it's implied more happens.
I never played Zelda 2, so
I mean, there is the one person who gives you back your life when you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. You're right.
Yeah.
No, there is the lady who heals you, and like it's implied that she's having sex with you in every town that you go into.
Yeah.
in Zelda 2.
The way that you refill your health and you refill your magic by fucking either a sexy lady or an old lady. The old lady refills your magic, and the young lady refills your health.
How is it implied that you're having sex? Because
Yeah.
you go into a building?
Yes.
Yep.
At least that's
people go into buildings and don't have sex every day, Brian.
not my experience.
And also, sex doesn't equal love.
It doesn't. You're right.
Yeah.
It was just a transaction.
It was. It was very much a transaction. But at the end of the game, there's a heart, so it's love.
There's just a heart laying on the ground,
Just-
like an organ. Like
He just
I made love.
I made this.
I cut a heart out of the pig wizard, and now it's love.
Well, have you ever played any video games that have like any love stories
Yeah.
attached to them?
Well, and like the game that I played most recently that had a love story involved in it is Witcher 3.
Okay.
And I like how it ended because it has kind of a multi-directional potential love narrative.
Okay.
And if you select or it's more of an urn. It's not just like, this one, I like you, so I'm going to talk to you more. And then we relationship. But yeah, depending on how you beat the game, like what sort of ending you get has kind of the relational after effects of that.
Okay.
And what I ended up getting was like character and particular love interest like move off and have a peaceful, quiet time afterwards.
So I've never played Witcher 3, but a lot of people, like when I was researching this, Witcher 3 came up in a lot of lists.
Yeah, well, and it's I think it is probably a better romance narrative than a lot of other games because it's not just
It's earned.
It's earned. It's not just like stars like hearts in the eyes. It's like the character that I ended up developing the relationship with in the game, it wasn't all good. And it was like there were certainly times where difficult conversations occurred and like it felt like a more genuine interaction than just boning Jairus in the weapons room.
Making those calibrations.
Yeah, you got to calibrate that calibers.
Well, with that, I think, unless anyone has any final says on love and video games. All right.
Not really.
All right.
I don't know. I just found out, like, I guess I don't play video games for the love stories. It's
Honestly,
not my forte, so.
Well, yeah, no, that's fair. They're pretty shallow at best.
Yeah.
I will say that it was kind of enlightening when I thought of the topic idea before I like really like got delved into it.
Yeah,
I was just like Valentine's Day, love, whatever, and then like I really started thinking about it. I was like, man, this could actually be kind of difficult.
Yep.
But I will say happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Thank you guys for watching HEETwave, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday. We'll see you guys next week.
Go do some Valen crimes.
Yeah, by watching Sonic the Hedgehog. Everybody's date.
Sonic Heroes.